What's up, YouTube? It's Angelo. Coming at you with another video right now. Just want to at least get this out of the way real quick. I understand that I'm working, out of my dining room table and everything. This is kind of a temporary thing. Kind of working on a man cave right now. It's just going to take some time. Working full time. It's really hard to juggle multiple tasks. But I'm going to dive into the video. I wasn't even going to make a video today, but we got some breaking news, and it's Andy Dalton got released by the Bengals. This doesn't come as much of a shock, though. We knew with them, with the Bengals drafting Joe Burrow #1 overall, they were obviously going to move forward with him as their guy. And the day and age where you groom a guy for a year or two, those days are long gone behind us. And, they tried to obviously trade him, but the market wasn't hot because the NFL does know nowadays that, you just don't have the cap room to carry two quarterbacks, going forward. So, they decided to release him and moved on from him. Basically, what I'm gonna say is, I like Andy Dalton. I like him a lot, and I feel like he's a very serviceable quarterback. I'm gonna make my prediction later on in the video where I think he's gonna go, but I'm gonna kind of spout off some things as to why he's a better quarterback than you may think. Because honestly, he gets a bad rap, and for the life of me, I don't know why. First of all, the Bengals have always been a dysfunctional organization. They had a little stint in the '80s where Boomer Esiason carried them to 2 Super Bowls. Before that, they had only rattled off 3 winning seasons in a row. That's the highest they'd ever gotten to before the Andy Dalton era. The 70s, they weren't really great. The 90s, they weren't good. And just to kind of let you know, from 1990 to 2003, why that's an important piece is because, they obviously drafted Carson Palmer #1 overall in 2003, coming off a 2-14 season. But from 1990 to 2003, they had only had 1 winning season. That was a 9-7 season that they had in 1990. And that's just, honestly, that's not good. We all know they've been a dysfunctional organization, if not the most dysfunctional organization in the NFL. And realistically, Bengals fans are diehards. Cincinnati, Paul Brown, that fan base deserves better. They don't ever spend money. They will re-sign their guys. They do like to keep their guys in-house. And apparently the players do actually like playing for the Bengals. But they never try to really sit there and put out a good product year in and year out. So, we know, like I said, from 1990 to 2003, 1 winning season. Enter the Carson Palmer era in 2003. From 2003 to 2010, they had Carson Palmer. They had 2 winning seasons under him, and they won both of those were division titles. 2005, they go 11-5. 2009, they go 10-6. In both of those campaigns, they did lose in the first game of the playoffs that they played. I will give Carson Palmer this. That 2005 year was probably their best bet to make it to another Super Bowl and potentially even win one. We know that he got injured in the wild card game against the Steelers, and John Kitna had to, take over the helms for the rest of the games where they ultimately lost, and then, they went into next season, which they failed to make the playoffs for the next 3 campaigns. Now we get into the 2011 season. They draft Andy Dalton in the 2nd round, and he ends up taking over for the Cincinnati Bengals. We know that Carson Palmer at that point in time was threatening retirement. He ended up moving on to play for the Oakland Raiders and eventually the Arizona Cardinals, where he found success. And that's one thing that I want to allude to. He did not have a great career with Cincinnati. He moves on to Arizona, and he goes into the playoffs a few times and even wound up in the NFC Championship game in 2015 where he ultimately lost to the Panthers. So we know that he had success post-Cincinnati, and I think that's what's going to happen with Andy Dalton. Just to get into a little bit more numbers with him real quick, Andy Dalton is, in his career, he started 133 games. Throughout his career, he's only missed 11. 3 of which is where they decided that they were going to bench him, and might I say, they benched him on his birthday last year. Very classic move, Cincinnati. They bench him on his birthday last year. They go to the final 3 games with Ryan Finley coming out of NC State as their rookie quarterback, and we all know that they lost out, and the rest is history. He has a career record of 70, 61, and 2. That tells me that he's a winner. Going for 31,594 yards, 204 touchdowns, and 118 interceptions, and he's a career 62% passer. Now, if you average those out in a 16-game span, he averages a 8-6 record, and I know that doesn't equate to 16 total games, but that's just because he's missed a few games. So, you would say with those numbers, he's a career 9-7 guy. Averages 3,800 passing yards, 24.5 touchdowns, and 14 interceptions. Those are very respectable numbers. We know he's a 62% passer. Those are very good numbers. You can win with those. And just to let you know, the Bengals went on their best stretch with Andy Dalton as their quarterback. He comes in 2011. For the next 5 years, they had a winning record and they made the playoffs in each of those 5 years. Oh, actually, I'm sorry, not his rookie year. They did miss the playoffs in his rookie year. They did end up making the playoffs the following 4 years. 2011, they go 9-7. They go 10-6 in 2012. 2013, 11-5. 2014, 10-5-1. And then in 2015, they ended up going 12-4. Obviously, the final 4 years did not go so well, but that's just because they lost key guys on the offensive line. Vontaze Burfict obviously went away from the team. That's his fault. He just couldn't stay out of trouble. And they just weren't keeping certain guys. You know, Keith Rivers, he got injured. He was a very prominent linebacker for them. And he ended up having a career-ending injury, which, caused him to get out of the league. Before Andy Dalton came there, like I said, they had only had 3 consecutive winning seasons before. He rattled off 5 in a row. So this is an awful organization. They've never been known for being a very well-run organization. A lot of people don't understand. Up until recently, they just finally started getting a scouting department. Before, they had 2 scouts, and even the coordinators and the coaches were tasked with being scouts as well. So that's something that's not heard of in the NFL. Moving forward, I think my prediction is I think Andy Dalton is going to the New England Patriots. Before I dive deeper into that, I want to at least say that I do believe a dark horse team is the Jacksonville Jaguars. Why I say the Jacksonville Jaguars, they come in with only Gardner Minshew as their quarterback, which he's going to be making $700,000 over the next year. By the end of his contract on the last year, he'll be making $900,000. So that's a very cheap alternative. They have the cap space to add another quarterback. And Jay Gruden is down there in Jacksonville, and he was the OC for the Cincinnati Bengals back during that time when Andy Dalton had his best run of his career. So that's a dark horse team to me. But if I had to put my money on it, I'm saying he's going to New England. I think Bill Belichick has a plan. He wanted to get rid of Tom Brady and send him to the San Francisco 49ers when they traded Jimmy Garoppolo. That fell through, and he wants to move forward with another guy. Now, those stats that I was able to rattle off, why I think he can have success, and honestly, I think they're an 11-win team with Andy Dalton. During the 2001, 2003, and 2004 campaign, we saw Tom Brady that put stats up that was just like what Andy Dalton has been putting up throughout his career. And also, they do have a good defense. They brought in a slew of draft picks over the last couple of years. Bill Belichick knows how to scout personnel and players. So, I think that, with Andy Dalton manning the helm, with a weak division aside from the Buffalo Bills, they can make a, run and potentially mess around and win a playoff game. Let me just go back into what I was saying. 2001, Tom Brady, which he didn't play the full season, but, 2,800 passing yards, 18 touchdowns, 12 picks, completing 63% of his passes. 2003, 3,600 passing yards, 23 touchdowns, 12 interceptions with a 60.2 completion percentage. 2004, 3,600 passing yards again, 28 touchdowns, 14 interceptions, and a 60.8% completion percentage. Now that is a lot of what Andy Dalton has been putting out, and even he's put out better numbers before. So if the Patriots can do it with a Tom Brady that's putting up numbers like that, and mind you, 2 of those seasons, 03 and 04, they rattled off a 14-2 record in both of those. So it's been proven that they can do that in the past with a guy that puts up pedestrian numbers like that. And I honestly think that they can go right on ahead and do it again. It's something I believe that I've always said that I think that Bill Belichick can, he's obviously the greatest coach in the NFL. But I think that he would have been able to rattle off Super Bowls with someone like an Andy Dalton, someone like a Matthew Stafford, because he's such a good coach. And, I don't want to take anything away from Tom Brady. As much as I dislike the man, I can't sit there and, I can't hate on him because he has won 6 Super Bowls and he, is considered the GOAT in most people's respects. But that's my opinion. I think that Andy Dalton will do good with the Patriots. I think that's where he's going to go. And, I honestly believe that I think it'd be really cool to be able to see Patriots versus Bucs in the Super Bowl and just get that Bill versus Tom Brady. And with Andy Dalton under their, center, I think that's possible. I think they could potentially make it to a Super Bowl. I don't think Andy Dalton's elite. And that's not saying that he's going to be the reason why they make it to the Super Bowl. It's going to be more to do with Bill Belichick and the system that they produce up there in New England. So that's going to wrap up my video for tonight. Just want to say real quick, I appreciate making these videos for you guys. I hope you enjoy watching them. I love doing this. I love putting out this content for you. And I am going to be doing a $50 giveaway as soon as I hit 100 subscribers. So if you're watching this and you haven't already hit the subscribe button, make sure to subscribe. When I release the video that is going to be the $50 giveaway video, I will let you know. You will have already had to subscribe. And just make sure to like it and leave a comment, and that's how you qualify to win the $50 Cash App that I'm going to be doing. I really appreciate you guys tuning in for this episode, and I hope you all have a wonderful evening.